Hey, how you doing today? This past weekend, Memorial Day weekend, was the NCAA lacrosse championships, the Final Four. They call it championship weekend. And today I'm going to give a recap of the women's Final Four, uh, the two Final Four games, and the national championship game. As you probably know, Maryland, the University of Maryland Terrapins, won the uh, 20. They won the title on Sunday, defeating Boston College. They finished the season undefeated, which is very impressive. It's I think this tournament showed just how deep the teams are in Division One lacrosse, and they go through not only Big Ten play but the out of conference schedule as well, which was very tough, undefeated. So congratulations to them. Um, and I would say pretty much all of the games, the final four games, and then the national championship game were all competitive and very intriguing. So if you start on Friday, the first and last thing I should mention is that Maryland actually became the third team or the third school to do the double. They won the women's tournament and then they won the men's yesterday, the next day. I'd have to double check this, but I think the only two previous teams to do that were Princeton, and then actually North Carolina did it last year. North Carolina actually beat Maryland in both of those games last year. Um, so that's a cool little tidbit. It's something to keep in mind moving forward. Obviously, it's difficult to do, so I don't know how many more times we'll see it, but to see it 2 years in a row now, maybe it'll become a trend. So in the first game on Friday, we saw Maryland take on Penn State. Two Big Ten teams. This was a rematch of a regular season game, and it's two teams that know each other really, really well. Like I said in the previous video, there really weren't many secrets coming into this game. What I thought was interesting coming into this game was Maryland was coming off of their game against Stony Brook in the quarterfinals, where they were down by 4 goals in the second half. In some ways, got outplayed in that game. Really, I'll even take that back. They were outplayed in that game for the vast majority of it. Stony Brook played an incredible game, and I think coming into this game, me and maybe some other people were thinking, okay, how is Maryland going to respond? Maybe would they come in kind of nervous and unsure of themselves, or would they be able to shake it off? And I think pretty much from the opening draw in that game, in a lot of ways they took control and they really kind of took control of that game, and in some ways they left no doubt. And that's a really good Penn State team that they play against. I think one thing I wanted to mention about this game, and I think we see this in over a lot of different sports at pretty much all levels, from youth to professional. Like I said, across all sports, is sometimes when you're a great team like that, and you've been having a great season, sometimes when you play a game and it looks like you're gonna lose, and if it would knock you out, sometimes like you've seen the death of your season, so to speak. Like, you've sort of almost had to internalize, oh my gosh, we're gonna lose. This is it. We thought we were gonna go all the way and win, but we're not going to. So you've seen the death, and then you've been resurrected. Your season has been resurrected. You come back to win. I think sometimes what that does, and every team is different, but sometimes what that does is it really gives you a new life. To sort of the definition of resurrection. I think this is some ways what happened to Maryland is they kind of, even if they didn't necessarily, even if it was a little bit unconscious, I think sometimes it sort of loosens up your arms, loosens up your legs, and you just go out and play. You stop thinking about the results and outcomes of each action and the overall big picture, and you can just play as if you were in the backyard in a quick pickup game. And I think this is what we saw a little bit. Maryland really played loose. And Penn State, as I mentioned, they're a great team, and they absolutely battled in this one. They were just never once they got down early, they were just never able to make a serious run to dent Maryland's lead. At halftime, it was 11-5, and 6 goals is tough to come back from, but it's not insurmountable. 30-minute halves. Um, and Penn State did go on a little bit of a run, but like I said, whenever they got close enough where you think, okay, maybe they're gonna pull back to tie this game up or take the lead, Maryland really took it over from there and kind of stepped on the accelerator. Um, so yeah, Maryland wound up winning that game 20-10, and then so that was their semifinal. So they advanced to the national championship game, and then the second semifinal it was Navy, a surprise Final Four appearance, and they took on Boston College. So so Maryland advanced to the Final Four, and then Navy, as I just mentioned, uh, they were a surprise Final Four team. They upset Penn in the first round, and in the quarterfinals, the previous round of this, was the big upset where they went down the Chapel Hill and defeated the defending champion North Carolina Tar Heels, and that was a somewhat of a shocking result. So they came into this game definitely confident and feeling, I think, in some ways like they had nothing to lose. Certainly, when you get to a Final Four like that, you want to reach that final plateau and win it all. But I think coming into the tournament, they didn't, at least from the outside, they didn't have huge expectations, and they took on another surprise Final Four team, Boston College. The Eagles were playing, in Foxborough, kind of their home field. And this was an awesome game, Boston College versus Navy. Navy, I thought, played a really good first half, and they went into halftime with a 3-goal lead. And I think at halftime, Boston College really regrouped, and they came out and just went on a huge run and took the lead. I think that Boston College was really able to step up in the draw circle and win more possession. And then once they had the ball, they really started to make good use of their possessions. They took good shots. They didn't turn it over. And that enabled them to kind of hold the lead through the majority of the second half. And really down to the final minute, it was a 1 or 2 goal game, and sort of just both teams were battling back and forth. But Boston College was able to hold on and take the win, 16-15, a 1-goal victory. And so Boston College advanced to the title game to take on Maryland. And I think coming into this game, Maryland versus Boston College, which was played on Sunday, I think Maryland was the favorite, but I think Boston College, at least I gave them a really good chance because of how well even though they came into the tournament unseeded, they've beaten some really good teams. They beat Syracuse somewhat handily, and I thought that the way they played against Navy, especially in the second half, they were going to be able to give Maryland a really good battle, and they did. This was a game where Maryland had a little bit of an early lead, but Boston College battled right back and tied the game up going into half. Coming out of half, Maryland went on another huge run, which ultimately I think was the difference in the game. But credit to Boston College, they came back, and I think around the 8-minute mark or so, as you kind of get down the crunch time, I thought Boston College was right there, could have definitely won the game. But you got to give so much credit to Maryland for sort of stamping their foot down and finishing out their undefeated year. I give so much. I do want to mention I give so much credit to Boston College in this game because they made it such a good game. It was really really tight, and they played unbelievable. They played great lacrosse. Again, they kind of played how they played in the second half versus Navy. They were good with the ground balls, and offensively, I just thought they were so good at executing. They made great decisions, and they had really good shooters that made it difficult on the Maryland goalie. But in the end, Maryland did win 16-13, and so they won their national championship. Uh, they um, they were able to get redemption for themselves after losing in the final game last year, and I think it was big for them. This was an unbelievable game. Like I said, it was really I had a lot of fun watching this. Thankfully, it was televised on TV, um, and I think Boston College did such a good job of converting on their chances in the second half, which I think helped them to stay in the game. But then you just have to give so much credit to Maryland for sort of not getting nervous. Well, they probably maybe were nervous, but at least playing through it and, like I said, just finishing. Um, so yeah, that's the Final Four recap. Congratulations once again to Maryland. Uh, they've definitely been the dominant team in women's lacrosse, and they finished their year undefeated. It was a great year overall. A lot of fun, a lot of great games, a lot of good players, and like I said, a ton of good teams. The tournament provided so many good upsets and close games. Really fun to follow. So thanks for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed the tournament and the Final Four.